It's a weird-looking star-shaped graph containing all kinds of value for deciphering the intricacies of human personality. Of course, I'm talking about the Enneagram. Hello again and welcome back to my channel. I'm the Marriage Ranger, Michael Hildreth, and I'm looking forward to sharing some helpful information with you. We're going to be delving into the subject of personality type and how it compares to your temperament. Stick around and learn more. Enneagram is a valuable tool used in clinical therapy, psychiatric treatment, interpersonal mediation, job placement, career development, and other functions that requires us to understand the workings of the inward being of the individual. It's not a temperament test, but there is certainly a lot of overlap. For example, if you tested as a type 8, which is the challenger, you are probably a choleric or a phlegmatic choleric blending in your inclusion area. If you tested as a type 3, the achiever, or a type 6, the loyalist, you may be a sanguine in inclusion. If you tested as a 2, which is the altruistic helper, you're probably a supine, or you may be a melancholy in the inclusion or the affection areas of your temperament. We see a lot of intersection when we compare temperament theory with Enneagram theory. Since the Arnold profile system provides 3 distinct areas, inclusion, control, and affection, it's obvious to us that we will have more precise results pertaining to what part of the individual influences him or her to behave like that unique temperament. However, the Enneagram looks at motivations as well. Since the APS seeks to get behind the mask and see what kind of an individual you were designed to be from conception, it is useful for determining why you may be so stressed or disappointed with your life, and how you may be adding to the challenges and weaknesses that you already have by working outside your strengths in your present environment. The Enneagram, however, helps to define why you are the way that you are today, what is driving you as an individual right now, and who you are on the path to become in the near future. Some also want to know how Myers-Briggs compares, and it can also be very useful in some ways, but the Enneagram goes much deeper because it identifies the why of human behavior, while the APS is always looking at the driving forces behind the individual's words and actions, and not just at the why or the how. This is why we often conclude that the Myers-Briggs is the least helpful of the 3, depending on what we're looking at. We also find in the Enneagram specific indicators of certain potential weaknesses and codependencies. For example, type 1s are often prone to anger, type 2s are prone to pride, type 3s often fall into self-deceit, type 4s become envious, type 5s often become greedy, type 6s are fearful, type 7s often fall into gluttony or excess, type 8s fall into lust, and type 9s are known for slothfulness and indifference. Of course, anybody with any Enneagram type could potentially fall into any of these sin categories. But these specific proclivities are noteworthy as we consider some of the prevalent attributes of each unique type. While we could certainly name certain temperaments that are more inclined to some of these weaknesses than others, the Enneagram helps us to pinpoint even more precisely what these specific individual struggles are most likely to be. Additionally, the Enneagram provides wings to aid us in determining what traits and difficulties the individual is going to possess which belong to a neighboring personality type. For example, my score is a 3W2, indicating that I am a 100% match with the type 3, but I lean towards some of the tendencies of the type 2 as well. Since my score shows a 54% match with a type 2 and a 50% match with a type 1, I will share less similarities with the type 1 than with the type 2. And this may actually sound very imprecise, but when we consider that I already have an APS score that helps me to understand my basic temperament in the 3 key areas, inclusion, control, and affection, the Enneagram serves as a guide to bring me further in identifying specific likely behavior patterns of my personality. In a counseling setting, we are able to explore the level of maturity one may possess by looking at their Enneagram. Each Enneagram type contains 9 levels of development, and by eliciting information from the counselee, it is possible to ascertain how far they have come to reaching the attainable goal of level 1 maturity. We know from the APS survey that stronger temperaments in a certain area will drive the entire temperament of the individual and overshadow the contributions of the less dominant temperaments. For example, a choleric compulsive in control is the strongest, most driven, and insatiably ambitious temperament that there is. The overt power of that control area will bleed out into the inclusion and affection areas, impacting not just the decision-making of the individual, but processes of the mind and feelings of the heart. Similarly, we are able to discern which area of the temperament is the most impactful to the person's psyche as we view the Enneagram results in groups of 3. Types 1, 8, and 9 operate predominantly in the control area, being driven by judgment, instinct, and gut decision-making. These are the mediators of society, the protectors, the leaders, the reformists. These kinds of people rely heavily on the soulish man, getting their prompts from instinctual inner guidance. Types 2, 3, and 4 operate predominantly in the realm of feelings. It may be emanating from their inclusion or their affection areas because these right-brainers always interpret the world through feelings instead of through logic and cognition. Whether they are processing the data in their environment with the prefrontal cortex or using the inner workings of the limbic brain to experience and show affection to others, these people are all heart. When it comes to the type 5, 6, and 7, these people operate predominantly in the thinking or inclusion area of their temperament. They may be active in the right or the left side of the prefrontal cortex, but they are deep thinkers either way. These individuals are questioners, observers, and enthusiasts at whatever they set their minds to do. While there may be anxiety, uncertainty, and distrust of self and others, they always rely upon what they rationally observe in the universe in order to gain knowledge and solve problems. So what is your place on the Enneagram? There's only one way to find out. I recommend visiting enneagram-personality.com and take the free test there and compare your findings with your APS results. It will give you a deeper insight into who God created you to be, and it will show you certain pitfalls that you may need to avoid in order to reach a higher level of maturity and success in your life. If you also need help getting your APS temperament score, or if you are in need of counseling for you or your loved ones, you can reach out to me at www.marriageranger.com. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.